The gentle bleat of sheep is soon to be replaced with the scream of a flat six. And these hills will definitely be alive with that music as we get ready for the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Joey Atterbury. Joey, we've already seen this track can really set apart drivers.
Yeah, and with these tricky conditions that we've got here this weekend at Sonoma, it is really up to the drivers to go out there and find those grip levels and find out where it's really slippery. But let's take a look at the track map here just north of San Francisco here in wine country in Sonoma, an elevation-filled racetrack. Turn number 1 starts that uphill climb, and it continues uphill all the way to the top of turn number 3A. And then we start the downhill plunge all the way down through the carousel, and then turn number 7 on the left side of the racetrack is a great passing opportunity. Then it feeds into the S's, my favorite section on the racetrack where you have to be ahead of the track. The turn number 9 chicane is another great passing opportunity. And then we wrap up the lap down there at turn number 11 hairpin.
And as for the drivers taking part in today's race, we've got Brandon Hankins on the pole. He'll have Laura Eli starting next to him. It'll be Henry Marshall then starting in P3 with Mark Krigler next in 4th. Manny Gil de Real will be in P5, followed by David Fabi in 6. I don't believe he actually has lined up for it, neither did Luke French in the 275 there in 7th. From there, we have the Caymans with Greg Herback starting on the top, Zach Bradford in 2nd, and then Justin Lewis rounding out our field. You can see them heading around what is definitely a track that is lightened up a bit since we saw the North America Caymans in just an hour or so ago, Joey.
It was just a constant mist, right? It just always precipitation out there on the racetrack when we had that earlier Cayman race. But you're right. I think that at least in terms of the visibility, it has opened up. You know, we can see the hills beyond the Sonoma racetrack out here. However, it is still extremely wet on the racetrack. Look at how much water those rain tires are already pumping out from underneath these race cars. Varying conditions is the name of the game here this weekend.
So maybe just keeping those mistakes away are going to be a critical part as well. Drivers will have to try and keep it on the black stuff and try to keep it out of the green, out of the mud as well, as it definitely is pretty soggy in a few parts on the outside of the racetrack itself. You don't want to clip into that because the water can definitely do a fair bit of damage where it has puddled up. Looks like we have hit turn 11. The safety car is now in. Brandon Hankins takes them around that final 180-degree hairpin. And we will go racing for 35 minutes plus 1 lap for this second race of the weekend in the USA West Series. Waiting for the call from the stand as they approach. And there it is. Green flag is out. We are on our way. And down into turns 1 and 2. Track position so important here. Who's going to be able to get away? It does look like Hankins with a great start over Eli. And they approach turn 2 pretty much single file.
Yeah, and then you see the rain line being used by a lot of these cars right in the middle of the road. They're up and over turn number 2. So like you heard Joe Peak say, the order is pretty much exactly how we started with Brandon Hankins out front. Laura Eli giving chase. Then Henry Marshall sitting there in the 3rd spot with Mark Krigler in 4th. Those are the GT3 Cup cars as we feed our way downhill. Oh, no! I believe that's Henry Marshall spinning around after turn number 3A and reaching that inside wall. It is so slippery, and the car is light on its feet up at the top of the hill.
Indeed, you can see them waving the green after him, but it's yellow flag in that section, obviously. But we wait to see whether or not he can get the car going, and unfortunately it doesn't look like that's the case, as they are going to throw the full course yellow, so didn't quite make the first lap, and that will promote Krigler up into 3rd overall of the Cup cars. There you can see the stranded 278 just off of the course.
And up at the top of turn number 3A, the car is very light on its feet. So you come up and over the crest and whatnot, and you're also trying to get on the throttle. And remember, we just took the green flag, so everybody is pretty antsy to get going out there, and maybe just a little bit too much throttle kind of spun that car around in that loose moment.
On the first lap, it's understandable. Here we're on board with Laura Eli, and one of the cars going by there, that was Greg Herback. Now, that's one of the Caymans. I don't think he has any reason to go by unless maybe he just was caught out by them slowing up into the corner. Should allow those cars back through to get back into the order that they started in.
Yeah, that's what I'm watching, too. I think maybe just a late radio call, because I do see Krigler going back by Herback right now. So could have been just that, hey, we're on the opening lap. We expect to get going, and the driver was focused on the racetrack.
Exactly. So we'll just have to stay patient for the moment while they get that car cleaned up. With 35 minutes plus a lap, obviously we'll have plenty of time to get this underway here, since it looks like he just kind of nudged it into the tire barrier. Hopefully there shouldn't be any repairs that need to be done. Joey and I are able to finally get a little bit of a visual on our side to see exactly what happened to Henry Marshall. And Joey mentioned it was off that crest of turn 3A, and yeah, very much so. Just the car getting quite light up there, and without much experience at full tilt in today's conditions, because we have to remember, they didn't have a practice session this morning. It's probably catching a few of them out with some surprises.
And it was right here, just where we were riding over with Brandon Hankins, that the car just spun up those rear tires and off on the right side. He went, but not to harp on it for too long. These are the conditions that the drivers are going to have to face, and they're going to be changing too, right? Looks like we're going to get a replay of exactly what happened to Henry Marshall here. This is from our overhead shot. So third car in line, right as it starts to go down the hill from the top of turn number 3A. So this is 3. We're watching that third car in line with the red tail on it. And I bet you as soon as the elevation starts to drop, there it goes. And around it spins and gently into that tire wall.
Well, the good thing is that he hit the inside with the tire wall, because the outside just has that concrete there. That probably would have done a lot more damage. And at least it went to the right and not to the left, where we do see a lot of cars oftentimes end up. So we have to sit and wait behind the safety car. And we talked about the visibility being better for us up here in the booth. It doesn't look all that much better down inside the car.
Well, and what I really enjoyed watching there was the inputs from Brandon Hankins. So he was putting a ton of wheel into it. He was forcing to induce understeer, so that way he could scrub those front tires. He knows how important tire temperature is, and that's what he's trying to do when he scrubs those front tires, just try to induce that friction and temperature into the car.
As they get around to complete the latest lap. Haven't seen any visual on where we sit with that car over at 3A being recovered. But there we go. Now we're starting to see, and it looks like safety vehicles are there. And I think they're just going to put it on the hook and pull it back out of the tires.
And I think that now, granted we can't see, but it seemed like it gently went into the tires. Now it did
look like it.
Yeah, it did back into the tires, and now it's nosed into the tires, so it kind of did a little bit of a 180 after the impact. And yeah, hopefully everything's all good, and they just need to hook it up to the tow hook, and basically once they pull it out from the wall, it should be able to drive away. And given that it's got rain tires on it, it should have okay grip in the grass out there.
Yeah, that's true. And while we've got them on the screen, I want to give a big shout out to all of the safety workers and the corner marshals that are here this entire weekend. I mean, it's one thing to get to enjoy racing and watch it, or especially if you can be cozy and inside, but they have to be out here in not just the rain, but it's also pretty cool out. I think, yeah, 57 Fahrenheit air temperature I'm seeing right now. So it's not the most desirable of conditions, but they've been very diligent in doing everything they can to make sure we can stay racing.
I gotta, make a little bit of a humorous comment over here, because it is cold, right? It's cold and rainy and a little bit windy out there. Everybody's in the jackets and full gear. When I was still able to get into the race cars, this was the best time, right? It was warm, it was dry, everybody else is suffering out there. So being inside the race car is actually quite pleasant right now.
That's a good point. Yeah, so as our safety vehicle gets ready to kind of pull that car out, just to give you an update, Hankins still your leader. Laura Eli still second overall, but she's leading our Masters. Greg Herback currently leading the Cayman Masters as well down there. Justin Lewis ahead of Zach Bradford. And then Mark Krigler is currently sitting third in the third in the Cup cars currently, since we have lost one with Henry Marshall. But the drivers get a little bit of a delayed start, if you will, since they only got about 4 corners of racing before, unfortunately, it had to be slowed down today. We're down to about 27 minutes plus a lap to go.
And I do see some safety vehicles over here in turn number 9 area. I think they were just maybe picking up a little bit of debris that they saw out there on the racetrack, so doing a little bit of course clearing as well while we get this 278 hooked up on the strap out here and hopefully get it pulled out of the tires. I did see them roll the flatbed as well as the vehicle to pick up the car if needed. So I think they are just trying to prepare for however they need to extract the car. And remember, you can't just yank this thing out of the tires, right?
Yeah,
it is a very, very precise machine, a race car, and you can't just go up there and grab it and pull it out of the tires.
Yeah, in fact, if you ever see the little red arrow on the front or the back of many of these race cars, that is actually indicating where they need to hook it up. That is the structurally sound point that you could drag the car out. Yeah, you mentioned them with the couple vehicles down at turn 9. I did see between sessions they had the leaf blowers out and the brooms, so they were trying to get rid of whatever standing water they could. It's not been heavy downpour all day, but it's been enough moisture coming from the sky that it's definitely pulled up in a few spots. And there we go. Driver, no, that's not the driver out of the car. It looks like that's a
no. I believe that Henry's probably still in the car.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of getting pulled back because they need somebody in the car to help steer it right now, and definitely has a little bit of debris hanging off of the front end, and maybe that's just from being pulled out of this heavy grass. We've got to remember ride heights on these cars, right? They're quite low, so anytime you get into that mud and heavy grass, I think it might just pull off a couple little plastic parts underneath.
That looks like the splitter, if I'm honest, the way it's kind of hanging off the front.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the splitter guard type of thing that kind of hangs down underneath the splitter. But you're right, it is part of it.
So they've got it out. I'm kind of wondering if he stays in the car, is he maybe able to get it fired up and get it going as well? Because like we said, it wasn't a huge hit. So theoretically, if the car can go, then he could take part. Unfortunately for him, he's already 2 laps down, so he's going to just have an extended test session mostly out here, not really able to compete with anybody. And you can see all the mud and stuff that is tracked across is now the line of cars still racing is just going to carry on past them.
I think the one thing that is a question in my mind, though, is the other safety worker came and put the block underneath the rear tire, so that's going to prevent it from going forward at all. I wonder if they're going to try to back up a tow truck. You know, it's pretty funny, my brain trying to do the logistics of what these guys do every single day out here and guessing. They obviously have a plan, and I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, unfortunately, not a whole lot left other than to see whether or not they'll get this put together quickly. And we don't want to put pressure on them, obviously, because they're working hard out there. And, yeah, the driver is, in fact, getting out. Henry has understood his day is over. So sad to see a DNF before he even completes a single lap of race number 2. And he gets out and he gets to take a look at the damage as well.
Yeah, I think he's just looking around. I'm curious, does he climb back in the car? No, he's having a conversation, and it looks like he was pointing to where probably Henry's ride was going to be, but certainly just walking around the car, checking out exactly what's wrong, and now heading over to his new ride.
So we're going to get restarted hopefully in the near future while they try and get this up on the flatbed, as we've got about 23 minutes plus a lap left to go. And, I mean, it's still good enough conditions that they shouldn't have to keep them circulating under this yellow once they clear that car. That's one of our biggest fears this weekend, is that we don't want it to rain too much, that we're just going to have to sit and wait for it to get good enough to go racing.
And I'm actually, oh, looks like Henry is trying to climb back in the car. This is what I was curious about.
Yeah.
Is that if he basically walked around the car and said, no, damage is okay, I should be able to drive it back. If he hops back in the car and tries to power it back up and bring it back in, that I think would be the most ideal situation, right?
I just hope Sprint Challenge doesn't have Le Mans rules where you can't walk more than 30 yards away, or else you're you're retired. Oh, it's moving. Okay, he's got it fired up.
It's at least rolling. I don't know if it's under its own power quite yet, but it does have power on, right? The headlights are on. He ran over the splitter, which no big deal, right? The track workers will have to pick that up, but looks like he's going to take it straight into the access road down there.
Probably the smart decision, rather than taking it all the way back around the circuit. Get it into a safe place, and then we can go racing that little bit quicker. There we see them going by the scene one more time. Lights are still on. I do love one thing that you're pointing out, Joey. I notice this anytime we get an early yellow. Our fastest lap sits at about 35 seconds beyond what we're used to around here.
Yeah. We're getting word that basically the reason for moving that HM road racing car is that on the incline it just makes everything a little bit more difficult in order to go out there and get it, so they simply had the car roll, which it was completely capable of doing, down to a nice flat area where they can take the safety trucks and get that thing up on the flatbed nice and carefully.
It's good insight, of course, on exactly all that happens, because, I mean, yes, I know we're talking about a lot of stuff that might seem a little bit inconsequential here, but these are all things that are part of what makes these race weekends happen. So yeah, it's the logistical side of it, again, to everybody working behind the scenes, is make these races go. So glad that they're able to figure that out pretty quickly here as we come down towards turn 8, where the lights have their end of line on whether or not they can turn them off. I don't think they'll be turned off this time, though, if they're still out there recovering that car on the exit of turn 4. It's far out of the way, but it's too wet and slippery for them to try and keep recovering it while they're going green.
Well, and I also think there's another facet to it as well with having the safety trucks available. Right, you got to make sure that everybody's available in case another incident does happen out there. And the lights are still on the safety car, so we're going to go at least one more time under a yellow flag. And I'm actually curious here with the overhead drone shots. We were getting some awesome kind of landscape shots of them. Could see the go-kart track up on the top of the hill that's here at Sonoma. But we are talking about the weather conditions, right? And out in front of us, out of the bowl over here, it's a little bit brighter, but I wonder what it's like behind us, because most of the weather is actually coming kind of from behind the hill, from behind the area of the drag strip where we are located. So I guess the curiosity is getting to me about the weather.
We'll have to bug our producer to give us a radar feed or something on the broadcast so we can tell what's coming along. And as we watch them come across the line once again, hopefully this time through should give us a good likelihood that we'll go racing, because since that car was put down into an easier logistical spot, I got to imagine next time we cruise by there as we ride on board with Hankins, we'll be able to see it close to being up on the truck, if not already there.
You know, another thing that has piqued my curiosity here, Joe. Oh, there's the car,
there you go.
278 on the flatbed, so at least it looks like it's up there. Still working on it, though. When we were on board there with Brandon Hankins, we could see the ABS and traction control settings on the top right of the dash. There it is. So if you look on our digital dash on the lower right of the screen here, it's got ABS, and I can't tell if that's 6 or 8, and then traction control 5. I wonder if other people are running similar types of settings out there with their ABS and traction control.
That's a very good question, actually. Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that for any other onboards that we see over the course of this weekend, because that could very much be telling, since that's been kind of a major factor. A nice little windshield wiper doing a very good job getting it nice and clear there.
But crucially, not scraping off any more of the name.
Yes. He's lost a little bit of the S, I will say. But
he has, yeah.
We remain at B. Hinnans for Brandon. If you missed race 1, we were kind of teasing a little bit about that. Somebody, whoever applied the vinyl, had not put it quite firmly with a few of the letters here. Laura Eli still sitting in second behind Brandon. And then Krigler sitting in third. That's our 3 remaining Cup cars out of the 4 that started. And then we've got Herbeck, Lewis. Now, Bradford is showing in pit lane. And I know I found out after the race that apparently one of the reasons that he had to take off from, I think it was the Cayman race yesterday, was there was an equipment problem inside the car. And so he had to leave a little bit early, which worked out because he had this race to take part in afterwards. Now we've got a little bit of a visual.
Thanks to our producer over here getting a radar on the screen. Big shout out to Burba.
So now Sonoma, I believe that's just above Napa. Am I right?
I mean, pretty much right in. Yeah.
Okay, so
we are just north of San Francisco area, so you see the San Francisco Bay, and we're not too far out. It only takes about an hour from SFO to drive up here to the racetrack. Yeah. And so we're basically just south of that Napa Valley area, right here in Sonoma, in wine country. And you can see it's rain.
It is, but there's a big clearing right below it, so that might be good. However, I do see one little blip of stuff kind of coming together. Well, we should talk about the racing, though, because we've gone back green as Brandon Hankins leads us away. And a few of them behind. It looks like Krigler was a little bit more circumspect. What happened to Laura Eli, though?
You're right. I do not see Laura Eli. She has dropped down the order, and I wonder if she has brought it into pit lane.
I wonder, she must have had an issue in turn 11. Maybe on the initial start. I wonder if she got on the throttle a little too hard and spun it around, because she is now well behind everybody. And Krigler gets promoted up into second of all the Cup cars. Hankins on his lonesome, if anything, showing at 7, nearly 8 seconds ahead of Krigler. But the good news is that Eli is running.
Yeah, she is out there, but yeah, it's firmly in control of Brandon Hankins now, so he's just going to be out there cruising around, and I think that he is very comfortable at the front. I think going back earlier this season when we opened up the USA West Series over at Apex Motor Club in Phoenix, I mean, there was not a faster driver and car combination than this white and red 295. He led every single session, whether it be practice, qualifying, or the races. Has had some pretty tough challenges. We get a little bit of action down here. I think this is the Caymans going by Krigler in turn number 7, so these aren't for class positions out here. But going back to my point about Brandon Hankins, I think going up into that North America Series with the GT3 Cups has definitely helped his competitiveness.
I agree, yeah. And this will be good information for him. While it might be slightly different conditions for the North America GT3 Cup Series later on this afternoon, it will at least give him something to go on compared to all the other drivers out there who will be hitting the track for the first time. Now, the good news for Herbeck is that he's got now a buffer between himself and the car behind. And yeah, that looks exactly like I suspected. Laura getting a little greedy on the throttle.
Yeah, we have a replay on our side of things, and just accelerating up out of turn number 11, spun up those rear wheels. And even though that the traction control settings and ABS are there, it is still up to the driver to be very, very careful with how slippery it can be.
We had a yellow flag back at the hairpin of 7 for a brief moment. Car 209 off course, we're seeing.
That's Laura Eli again.
And she did so good yesterday as well. It's a bit of a shame to see that it's been 2 early spins. Wonder if the tires may be just a bit cold coming back to this. And Justin Lewis is having a heck of a time trying to get by Mark Krigler.
And this would be very interesting to see the kind of the performance differences between the 2 classes of cars. Remember, is that Krigler's in a GT3 Cup car. Overall, a little bit more grip, a little bit bigger tires, a little bit more horsepower, but I mean, we've been saying rain is the great equalizer, and these Cayman cars Now, they are GT4 based, but they also have kind of the same DNA in terms of the power plant and whatnot, so they also make 500 horsepower. They just don't have as many aerodynamic bits added to them, so in the dry, they're not quite as fast, but in the wet, Justin Lewis doing a great job keeping up with the other car.
Absolutely. We have to remember that Justin comes from a dirt bike racing background, so he's used to maybe a little bit looser and slipperier circuit, but coming down into turn 7, he's going to be able to sneak on by. Now he's going to have to set off to see if he can catch back up to Greg Herback, who is second overall in this race. Oh, but he starts to lose the rear. He's off into the grass, but thankfully he keeps it from completely turning around, and now he's going to have to repass Mark.
We've seen a couple of those loose moments coming out of turn number 7 and into turn number 8, which is called the S's here at Sonoma Raceway, and there is still standing water in some of these areas. And I will say that there's a little bit of a low point kind of in the cross access roads in that section of the racetrack, so I wouldn't doubt if there's a little bit of puddle over there. Plus, combined, you're trying to narrow up everything, so you got to be careful about staying on those curbs. You want to avoid the painted curbs.
Lesson definitely learned there. We see one car coming into pit lane, and that's actually showing as Herback. So Greg is peeling in. Now, I didn't see any information as to a penalty out there, but I'm not sure if maybe he's just not happy with the conditions or what the deal is. This is going to promote Justin Lewis to the lead of the Caymans.
And, I mean, he's doing a drive-through. He didn't stop in any box.
We're just getting it now on race control. Pass under yellow, drive-through penalty.
And you called it. Remember, you had called it over here at turn 9.
Yeah, and I kind of wondered that he went by a couple cars. I wasn't sure if that was going to be a sticking point later on with race control. But now Greg Herback has some work to do. The gap between himself and Lewis, about 13 seconds last time they went across the timing line, that he's got to make up in 11 minutes.
Well, Justin Lewis, after making the pass the previous lap, having a little bit of a half spin, has already caught up to the back of Krigler. Let's see if he opts to do the same type of move, right? He outbraked him here into turn number 7 on the previous lap. We're going to see if he kind of does the same exact thing, or if he opts to sit behind the black and blue number 204. He presents the car to the inside. He is certainly sending it down there. He was confident last lap. He's confident this lap now, Joe. He's just got to complete it on the backside of it.
Exactly. So pretty much a carbon copy of what he did before. This time maybe a little easier on the throttle. And yeah, he is managing to get away and start to scoot down the road. And he needed to make that happen because now this is for a class win.
Definitely. And, you know, I'm going to look at where Herback is on the racetrack. I think he's about 10 seconds or so back from where Justin Lewis is currently. We're going to have to keep an eye on the lap times.
For sure. This one obviously won't tell us much because it's Herback's out lap after serving that penalty. And, yeah, we can see on our tower the gap showing at about, yeah, like you said, 10 seconds between the pair of them. And Justin entering the braking zone of turn 11, going to get the hurry up from his team without a doubt after seeing his rival in class take off to the pit lane. Hankins still our overall leader, currently by 37 seconds, with Laura Eli having her issues before.
And I think that we're already getting our answer of how fast Herback is as we ride on board our overall leader, Brandon Hankins, taking the full rain line here at Sonoma, all the way around the outside of the carousel. Keep off of that painted exit curb there. Then feed our way back off of the drag strip. Kind of take that slight left here into the brake zone of the turn 7 hairpin. Let's see how wide he opts to go. Yeah, way out there, all the way off of the racing surface. You see how slippery it is, like at the sheen over the track down there at turn number 7, and these drivers are just trying to avoid that altogether.
We have to remember that that is the end of the drag strip, and there's all kinds of rubber and things that wind up on there that aren't necessarily good for wet racing on road course racing as we watch Hankins come down into the chicane of turn 9. Just avoid that inside barrier with the tire bundle and avoid the puddle on the inside of the second apex, and then off he goes down towards turn 11. Herback is definitely doing everything he can to close this in quickly. He's got it to less than 8 seconds now.
I was going to point that out, even with that outlap you had mentioned. I think he took about a second off in sector number 2 the previous lap. And looking at sector number 1 here on this lap, it looks like pretty even, actually, from Herback and Justin Lewis. They both did 45.4s in terms of that sector 1 time. Justin Lewis actually went green sector 1 and now green sector 2. Herback is going to be rolling through that timing loop here momentarily, and we're going to be seeing if he is actually going to be shaving that lap time off or still staying pretty even. About a quarter of a second faster than Justin Lewis, so catching him, but maybe not quite fast enough.
Shaving is an appropriate way to put it here around all these sheep this weekend as we watch him try to cut in on that gap. 5.8 seconds up to his class lead. He's also going to have to go by Mark Krigler, who is racing in the Cup cars. But we're continuing to keep our attention turned to this white, black, and red number 295, Brandon Hankins. While he may be leading and it may be a decent gap, he is going to want to keep it safe. He does not want to throw away what is another likely victory in his clutches.
Another great opportunity to learn about these varying track conditions. Now, it's not raining, right? We had some mist earlier, and you can see how wet the racetrack still is. So there's tons of precipitation still in the air and around, but it is a somewhat drying racetrack, right? If you look at the surface, you can kind of see where the cars have been driving versus just a completely flat sheen of the standing water. And that's important for the driver to adapt to these constantly changing conditions. And guess what? It's probably going to be changing later today in the GT3 Cup race. This just gives Brandon Hankins that little bit of an edge.
I think we are getting a little bit of mist because I'm seeing the water still show up on his windscreen, and he's got nobody in front of him. So a little bit is being put back down, but it doesn't look like it is extremely dramatic, although it will look more dramatic when you're riding on board a car going 90 miles an hour.
You're spot on with that one. For sure, as he comes out at turn number 11. You see how easy he is on the throttle, even lifting here on the front straightaway, which is usually flat out easy in the dry conditions. And then once again, really easy, just trying to get the front end to bite up through this section. It is steep uphill, and the last thing you want to do is lose the front end and just kind of have the car go straight.
He's still pushing because he set the fastest lap of anybody last time by, down to a 2:03.6. He's definitely putting some good ones in there. Herback, was 6 seconds faster than, that's Krigler, excuse me. But he was still 3 seconds faster than Lewis, it looks like. So Herback is definitely gaining, and he's actually got up to the back of Krigler off screen right now. He just went by us out of the chicane. So if he can make quick work of that, that's going to be important because, like we said, he's got to overtake Krigler first before he can hope to try and catch and pass Lewis.
This is down into that drag strip section again. Let's see how fast he gets up to if he gets into 5th gear. But yeah, he does click it up into 5th, about 125 miles an hour. Shows you how great these Yokohama tires are in the rain, being able to pump out all of that water that's standing on the racetrack. We got a yellow flag out there for turn 11 we're hearing. So that's down into the hairpin. 2:04 off course. Yep, it's
Krigler. Well, now where did he go? Okay, so he's on the inside. I was going to say, you can't really go off course on the outside of that turn. Yeah, he spun it on the way out, it looks like. And Laura Eli knows how that one feels. Both of them now having got on the throttle a little bit too quickly. And the good news for Greg Herback is that removes that impediment from his windscreen. Now all he has to do is catch up to Justin.
I was going to make the comment of how Herback had to get around Krigler, but you kind of took the words right out of my mouth with him spinning off in turn number 11 over there. And yeah, it just kind of allows Greg to now catch up to Justin without having that car in between the two. Now, we are under 4 minutes remaining plus a lap, and it is still an 8-second gap up to Justin. That's going to be a tough ask, but it is possible given that mistakes can happen in the rain.
And honestly, I think it was still compromised a little bit by Mark because the last lap was only about 1.5 seconds faster than Justin Lewis, which isn't quite the difference that we were seeing on the previous laps. Herback will probably have to pick it up. He just can't overdrive the car now.
as we're watching Brandon Hankins here go through turn number 4. I was just trying to check on what happened to Mark Krigler. And Joe, you were right. It was pretty much spot on from what happened with Laura Eli, just spinning up those rear tires coming out at 11.
Past the sheep, hanging out on the inside of the carousel here. Brandon Hankins carries on lap 12. Lap 13, I think he's on currently. Set another fastest lap of anybody last time by. In fact, his first sector is the fastest of anybody as well on this lap. So again, just each and every time through, it looks like he's learning. He's picking up where he can go quicker, where that limit is out here. He's still looking for it.
Just a little bit on that curb right there, but that's okay. He's probably off the throttle by the time he's rolling over that. Obviously setting purple sector 1, purple sector 2 as well. 2:03.30 was the previous lap time. I think that the track is starting to get a little bit faster out there. Yes, it is still raining like you were saying, but certainly seems to maybe be a little bit lighter. And then I look at these overhead shots and how much water is being pumped out of these tires. It is still very wet.
Yeah, well, those tires are taking care of some of that wetness and dispersing it as well. That's one of the things that you tend to see is that the track will dry up just if you get the cars circulating around here. And Hankins actually getting ready to, I think, lap Mark Krigler coming up there. So needs to tiptoe a little bit. You don't want to get tangled up trying to lap another car. Make sure that he communicates well with the body language of his 295. But I'm waiting to see the next time by from our Cayman competitors, with 2 of them left, one of which looking quite a bit faster. In fact, 2 seconds faster last time across the line.
And I think they're actually coming into our visual view outside of our commentary booth as we keep our eyes on the 295 here. Just reporting the gap between Justin Lewis and Greg Herback. Justin's in turn number 9 right now. Hey, that visual gap has come down significantly, but I mean, it's running out of time, right? A minute left, and Brandon Hankins crossed the line right at about 2 minutes to go. So I'm not sure if we'll get the white flag this time or next time.
White flag next time is what we are hearing. And there we go. There's a lap being put on Krigler. You know, we had such a shortened race. I had gotten caught up in watching the action out here. I didn't realize that we were so close to the finish, which is making it even more exciting for Herback there. He's going to have an incredible final lap getting by as we watch Hankins come around through the S's himself. He's still had a purple previous lap, but this time his sectors are not even personal best, so I think he is...
He also went by Mark Krigler here at this lap,
yeah.
So he had to get past another car, and I think that's the reason, or one of the reasons, why we don't see a purple sector time.
It is looking like it was rather close on whether or not we got another lap here, because we got about 10 seconds left, and he's coming up to the final turn now. So, yeah, he's going to get it by just about 5 or so seconds. 2:02.7, your quickest lap so far in this session. And he gets that white flag as he crosses now. 1 to go. He is pretty much on an island unto himself in this race.
I mean, he's put a lap on the next closest GT3 Cup competitor. You know, I take that back because Laura Eli has recovered and she got by Mark Krigler, so I take my words back. She is out there in second place in that Masters class.
Indeed. I just noticed at the same time that you did. So she's going to take a victory in Masters, but also moves up into second out of all the Cup cars. A victory lap now for the 295 as he completes what should be 15 laps, I think, in this race. A somewhat interrupted second race of the weekend for USA West. But the good news for them is they will be back here for Sonoma in 2 rounds, essentially.
I'm looking out of our windows over here. Greg Herback is closing in even more on Justin Lewis here. So now it's down under 3 seconds. And crucially, they're going to have another lap because they did not take the white flag yet. So that will definitely be interesting with how fast Herback has been lapping. However, passing and turning fast laps are 2 totally different things, especially in the rain.
And we've seen that repeatedly here at Sonoma. There have been cars that have had a 3-second advantage, and the lead car was able to hold them back. So I think Herback's going to have his work cut out for him. And in fact, Lewis has decided it's time to go. He set his personal best that last time by.
And that's exactly what he needs to do. The thing, though, is that, oh my goodness, Joe, you were just pointing out, it has just started a huge downpour here on the front straightaway. So we talk about varying conditions. It is happening as we speak.
Got to make one more corner here, does Brandon Hankins. Got to make sure he understands the grip's going to be a little different, but he is going to navigate that just fine. Brandon Hankins comes around out of turn 11, and he takes victory number 2 this weekend under a pouring wet rain here at Sonoma. Justin Lewis, we got to wait a while, a minute 24 actually we're seeing, before he gets around to the finish. He'll be the next one around.
Yeah, Brandon Hankins has taken that checkered flag, so now we're going to get some shots of this car. This is the battle that we've been talking about. So Justin Lewis is here in this white and black car. Then Greg Herback has been giving chase there, but, I mean, look at how much it's raining now.
It is about the heaviest I think we've seen all day, frankly.
100%.
So Krigler came through. He consolidates his second place in the Pro-Ams. This battle for the win in the Cayman Masters. As we watch them go through the mist, my goodness, you can barely see them.
Yeah, I mean, this has changed drastically. We were talking about changing track conditions, but I don't think I've seen it change this much in the course of, 2 minutes out here. It actually reminds me a lot of Watkins Glen, of how everything just rolls in. But I tell you what, so far, so good for Justin Lewis. He's just got one more break zone to hang on to this one.
There we see the radar showing how much it has changed. And Justin Lewis, I mean, it feels like he is crawling out here and trying desperately to hold ahead of Herback, get himself a win in the Masters. In fact, I think this might be his first win. I'll double check that in a second. And Justin Lewis out of the final turn. He accelerates well, coming up to the line, and he is going to get his first win here in the Cayman Masters. Herback wound up 1.9 seconds shy.
A little bit of a wet race out here, and I think we're just waiting on one more competitor to cross the line out here, and I believe that's going to be Laura Eli. See if she crosses the line, and I'll go ahead and read out our official results. There goes the number 209 across the line. Very nice and safe. Our overall leader, winner, Brandon Hankins in that white, red, and black 295. Justin Lewis is actually going to finish in second overall, and that is our Cayman Masters winner as well. Greg Herback finishing second in that Cayman Masters class. Laura Eli winning the GT3 Cup Masters class out here in fourth overall. Mark Krigler going to finish in fifth in this race. And as we saw, Henry Marshall, Zach Bradford, a little bit of issues out there and pulled the car off to the side. But don't go anywhere if you're watching the stream right here. We're going to be right back with our post-race celebrations for the USA West Series.
Experience the ultimate thrill, Porsche GT Track Day, where passion meets performance on some of North America's most legendary racetracks. Designed exclusively for Porsche owners, this is your chance to unleash the full potential of your vehicle in a motorsport environment. Drive the same circuits as professional racers, on the same weekend as Porsche Sprint Challenge events. Where will your Porsche take you? With limited space, every Porsche GT Track Day ensures a premium, exclusive experience. You'll get nearly 3 hours of track time, starting with reconnaissance laps, progressing through lead-follow sessions, and culminating in exhilarating open laps. Plus, strap in for heart-pounding hot laps with a professional race driver.
I thought I was fast. Didn't resemble anything that I've ever done.
Beyond the track, immerse yourself in VIP hospitality, premium viewing areas, and exclusive paddock access where you can witness Porsche Sprint Challenge teams in action. Spots are limited. Scan the QR code now to reserve your place at Porsche GT Track Day.
We have our winner in the GT3 Cup Pro-Am here for USA West, Brandon Hankins. Brandon, you survived what was a very interesting race, but I think mostly what we want to know is what was it like at the very end?
It was hard to see the track. I was a couple of points. I was thinking, am I still on the blacktop at this point? First time I had to use the wipers at the end, and it was just a downpour. It was like wet timing for the last lap. So, yeah.
Well, what are you taking forward? Because you have another race later on this weekend. Do you see this helping you, or is this information not useful?
No, absolutely. I don't have any experience in the rain, so I was trying to get as many reps as I can and just download and learn all I could. So definitely helpful.
Well, congratulations on the win. Savor it.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
That was Brandon Hankins, and we do have the winner in the GT4 Pro-Ams. We had him here a second ago. We're looking for Justin Lewis. Where did he go? Justin. Yeah. Oh, there he is. Are we still on? Oh, we found Justin. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Now, talk about those last laps, because you had Greg coming up very quickly. Yeah. Were there nerves inside the car?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think I was a little nerved up. I saw Greg gaining, a car length kind of each lap coming around, and I was like, I just got to hold it steady. Like, no sudden movements. Don't try to go find some magical speed that's not there. I think I was far enough ahead to kind of hold them off. So when they came across the radio and said it was the white flag, I was like, okay, I just got to make no mistakes. And then on that last lap, the heavens opened up and dropped, like probably a quarter-inch of rain in about 2 minutes. So it was just hydroplaning all the way around to the end. But, yeah, pretty awesome. Excited to get the win, honestly, and ready to do it in a fast race, too, at some point. But I'll take this one. Seems appropriate for a guy that came from dirt bikes. So
we mentioned that on air as well. Congratulations on your first Sprint Challenge win.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And with that, we wrap up our USA West race number 2. We'll be back for the North America GT3 Cup Race 2 here in a few moments.